I'll tell you the truth, neighbor. The morning they stormed my porch demanding the lake behind my house, I nearly choked on my coffee. It wasn't the kind of laugh you plan. It was the laugh of a man who's carried his father's old toolbox across a dozen moves, who still folds a worn flag on holidays because that's what his father taught him. They told me the lake belonged to the HOA, that I'd need permission to walk my own shoreline. What they didn't know was the one thing that would turn their whole world upside down. Every single dock they called theirs rested on my water rights. I'd only been here 4 days. Boxes still stacked in the hallway, my wife scribbling lists on sticky notes, the air thick with sawdust and lemon cleaner. At dusk, blue herons glided over the water, and my little girl drew a map in the sand with a stick. "Daddy," she said, "it looks like a puzzle." And she was right. That lake wasn't just beautiful, it was part of us. Then came the HOA, a small army in polos and sunglasses, marching up like they owned the ground they stood on. The woman in front, the president, had a handshake. Like cold steel and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You'll need to sign our lakes agreement," she said, pointing at the water, "and pay the annual access fee. The docks are managed by us." I looked out past her at the ripples breaking softly against the shore. "Who told you that?" I asked. "It's in our bylaws," she said proudly. "Your bylaws," I replied. "Don't reach my deed." Her lips twitched. "We'll need to see your documents." "You will," I said, "when I need to show you, and right then." I saw the first crack like tapping a fence post and hearing it ring hollow. That night, I pulled out the folder my dad taught me to keep, the one with every paper that ever mattered. Receipts, maps, handwritten notes. And right there tucked inside was the quiet treasure in 1984 recorded easement and water access instrument. 50 feet of submerged rights extending into the lake. The kicker? Every dock along the cove was planted squarely into my underwater parcel. The old owner let it slide. He was kind. He didn't fuss. But I'm not him, and I don't take kindly to folks trying to rewrite history with a clipboard. 2 mornings later, I walked the cove at sunrise, coffee in a thermos, boots damp with dew. Dock after dock stretched out like piano keys. Each one carried a brass plate, HOA Dock 3, HOA Dock 7. I took pictures, measured distances, marked GPS pins. It felt like counting the rings of a tree someone else had tried to claim. That afternoon, first letter came, certified, official, arrogant. Failure to comply? Common area. Lake access suspended. Suspended. From my own lake, my wife read it twice and set it down like it was a snake ready to bite. She looked at me and said, calm as ever, "What's our move?" "Due diligence," I said. Then kindness. Then steel. The kindness came first. I invited the HOA board for coffee on Saturday. My porch, open view of the lake. I printed copies of the plat maps, highlighted the key lines, even baked cornbread. My daughter set out the plates. If the fight was coming, I wanted it to walk through the front door of my hospitality first. They arrived stiff. They left stiffer. The president skimmed the top page and said, "Our attorney will review this. Until then, the bylaws stand." "Our deeds stand," I told her. "And they stood before your bylaws were even written." Her jaw tightened. "If you obstruct dock use, we'll fine you." I smiled. "I'm not obstructing. I'm just enforcing what's mine, the rights you've been using for free." She stood up. So did the 2 men. Nobody touched the cornbread. That night I cleaned my workbench just to settle my hands. My dad's old saying echoed in my head, "Measure twice, cut once. And if someone borrows, make sure they bring it back better than they found it." Not one of those docks had been brought back better. Monday morning, I called my surveyor, an old friend who'd worked this county longer than I'd been alive. He walked the edge with me, boot-thumping the ground like he could hear the truth under it. He flagged the corners, waded into the water, and measured the pilings with a tape that flashed like a fish. He whistled. "Son, They built every last dock right into your watery living room. Then came the attorney, local guy, salt and pepper hair, boots that still had mud from his farm. He read my documents slow, then looked up and said, "We'll be polite first." So we sent letters. Not threats. Facts. 30 days for them to show a recorded right. Day 10, the HOA posted a notice by the mailboxes. Reminder, lake access is a privilege managed by the HOA. Day 12, my attorney sent our second letter, enclosing a simple license agreement. They could keep their docks $10 a year each. A handshake in writing. A promise to maintain, insure, and behave. I wanted fairness, not a war. Day 14, a few neighbors gathered by my fence. Nervous faces. One man in a baseball cap said, "We didn't know. We've always been told the lake was HOA property. We fish off those docks with our kids." I looked at his kids, small hands gripping fishing rods. I said, "You can keep fishing." Always could. This isn't about stopping families. It's about respect. That broke the storm a little. The crowd softened. A mom wiped her eyes. The man nodded. "Tell us what's right, and we'll follow it." The board didn't. They doubled down. Day 21, special meeting at the clubhouse. I showed up with my folder. The president called my paperwork creative. Then a quiet voice rose from the back. An older man said, "My cousin worked at the county recorder's office in the 80s. I remember this easement. It's real." The room went still. Day 26, the HOA's attorney fired back with polished threats and fancy words. My attorney just grinned. "They're hoping you'll blink." I didn't. We gave them 30 more days, then I'd tag every dock as a trespass structure and have them removed. Insured and all. Day 30, the HOA president came alone, just before sunset. No sunglasses. No clipboard. Just tired eyes and a quiet voice. "We're out of our depth," she said. I poured her coffee. She held it like it was keeping her warm. "No one ever checked the deeds," she said. "We just followed the rules." "Rules are fine," I told her, "but they need a foundation. Like a dock." She nodded. "What do you want?" "Respect," I said. "A recorded license, insurance, safety rails on the kids' docks. And no more letters treating families like trespassers on their own water." She nodded again. "We can do that." A week later, we signed. $10 a dock. A token, but tokens matter. It meant the truth was on record now. It meant when my daughter stands here someday, or her kids after her, the water won't get bullied by bylaws again. Word spread through the neighborhood. The baseball cap dad brought donuts. His kids waved from the dock, holding up a bluegill like a trophy. A retired teacher brought a pie and said, "Thank you for fixing something I didn't even know was broken." Even the HOA president changed. At the next meeting, she announced a respect the shoreline policy. Volunteers signed up to fix broken boards and add safety rings. We put a bench under the willow tree with a small plaque that reads, "For everyone who loves this water." My wife picked that line. She always finds the heart of things. A month later, I sat there at dawn with my daughter. The mist lifted off the water like smoke. A boat moved across the cove without a sound. "Daddy," she whispered, "is the lake ours?" "It's ours to care for," I said. "That's better," she nodded, the way kids do when they understand more than you think. The sun rose, painting the water gold. Somewhere down the road, a screen door clapped shut. It sounded like a heartbeat finally settling. Justice doesn't always show up with trumpets. Sometimes it comes like a lake after a storm calm. Deep and steady. The docks still stand. But now they rest on truth, the kind of truth you can tie a boat to. And know it'll hold. So if you ever find yourself facing an HOA like this, loud at your door, light on facts, remember this. Check your foundation. If it's yours, stand. Kindly, if you can. Firmly, if you must. and leave it better than you found it. Have you ever faced an HOA like this? Share your story in the comments. I read every one. And if you believe some fights are worth having for respect, for family, for the quiet right to sit beside your own water, hit subscribe. Let's stand up together.